Candreva meantime! That is Antonio Candreva in a nutshell. Against a big team, scoring a beauty. Outside the box, he picks out the top corner.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Serie A Spotlight. This is episode 108 and we are hosts Matt
and Jake,
here to bring you guys all the updates about Matchday 20 along with a few more updates that have happened over the past few weeks.
Absolutely. Our goal of the week was Candreva's strike against Napoli. Had a lovely pullback and a curler into the top corner. It was very difficult to choose a goal of the week for this one. Theo Hernandez had a fantastic goal after being flicked in behind by Giroud.
Yep.
CDK had a rocket. Vlahovic had two incredible goals. Lovric had a great goal as well. Hakan Çalhanoğlu, Petagna, they all had fantastic goals. It was very difficult to choose. Let us know in the poll down below if you're listening on Spotify who had the best goal.
Yeah, I thought, I agree with our decision, obviously, regarding Candreva's being goal of the week. However, Theo's was a very, very close second. That flick on by Giroud and then the powerful finish in off the crossbar against Roma was fantastic. And that is a good segue into some breaking news before we kick off anything else podcast related. But unless you're living under a rock, you would have heard that Mourinho has been sacked by Roma.
Yeah.
A couple of days after the defeat to Milan, but I guess it has something to do with the fact that they are in 9th place. And
the Lazio loss in the Coppa, maybe.
Yeah.
Are we going to discuss what we think about this now, or shall we save it for later?
I guess we could put out some opinions now.
I am of the belief that this was a rash and stupid decision, quite frankly, because Mourinho is a cup manager, right? Mm-hmm. He's always been a fantastic knockout manager.
Yeah.
And no matter what squad he has, he seems to be able to get them to the finish line. We saw that after it had been years, over a decade since Roma had won a trophy, and he got them the Conference League. And then the next year he made the Europa League final when they should have probably won it.
Yep.
And now he's sacked and they're still competing in the Europa League. I think that it was very stupid because think about the ambitions that Roma have this season. If they want to do well in the league, okay, granted, they should bring in a manager who does well in the league, right? Instead of him. Now what they've done is they've basically confirmed their exit from the European tournament, right? Because let's be real, De Rossi isn't going to get them as far as Mourinho would have.
Breaking news, De Rossi is his replacement.
Yes, De Rossi is his replacement, who has only managed Spal, and I believe he
was part of the technical team of the Italian national team as well, and that only lasted 9 games.
Exactly, yes. And he had, I have it here actually somewhere, a 17.64% win percentage at Spal, and was sacked after taking them down to 18th place in Serie B. So not a very good replacement. They're thinking very short term over here. They're probably thinking, let's get this over the line so we can rebuild next season and bring someone in. But this is a lose-lose situation, because if De Rossi does well, then suddenly they have to keep him. They have to renew his contract, and that's so he's only destined to fail. Because no managers, well, not no managers, but they're of the minority. Inexperienced managers do not do well at big teams. And we've seen it. We're Milan fans, bro. Yeah. We've seen it at Milan many times.
Seydorf,
the minority,
Rocky.
And then you have the likes of Guardiola and Zidane, granted, yes, but they're in the minority. Like
absolutely. Even, you see Thiago Motta, and he was with the PSG minors before he did anything else. Went to Spezia, lower league team. Now he's at Bologna, and he's looking at that next step. That is what.
So I just don't see the point in sacking Mourinho. Just let him ride out the season, and then make your change at the end of the season when his contract's up. What do they get from sacking him now? Honestly?
Yeah, that's we share the same opinion over here. I do think as well it maybe has something to do with his discipline, because I do believe that he's almost spent as much time off the pitch than he has on the pitch this season, and obviously he had a lengthy ban at the beginning. He got a red card twice in a singular week, both in the Coppa and then in the league. It's absolutely crazy. But like you're saying, I do feel like there was a bit of panic button pressing, because at the end of the day, you look at Roma, they're down in 9th. They're 5 points behind 4th though. They're in the Europa League, and I'm not saying that these are successes that should be celebrated, but it's a something they can work with, something they can work on. They could still have a decently successful season. Maybe they make Europa again. Maybe they make Champions League. And, you know, maybe, who knows, maybe they win the Europa League.
Absolutely, that's it. Mourinho made these fans dream.
Yeah.
The fans loved him. They would, you know, when the announcers calling out the players' names, Mourinho's name is chanted out louder than anyone else.
Oh man, and he loved Roma.
Yeah.
Absolutely adored Roma. Did you see the video of him crying in his car with the Roma fans?
And you heard the fans, right? They were absolutely devastated. They're like, oh, non ci credo, mister.
For sure. I mean, at least, look, I don't think that Mourinho was a long-term strategy, considering that he has never been a long-term strategy for any of the teams that he's represented, but he's there for 3 seasons and he's going to win you trophies, you know what I mean? However, sacking him halfway through a season to bring in De Rossi, it just screams bad management to me.
Yeah,
but let's hold off from further discussing this because we really are taking away some of our talking points from the Milan game. We have some updates with regards to the Supercoppa Italiana and the Coppa Italia. So let's start off with the Coppa Italia. Last time we recorded, it was actually when Fiorentina Bologna was being played. I did make it home in time for penalties. Fiorentina did win on penalties. I believe it was Stefan Posch who missed
it was a
penalty.
fantastic shootout. Every penalty was perfect before that one.
Yeah.
And we got to see Yeremina's dance moves as well. It was very interesting.
I just found it odd that he danced when, you know, they weren't over the line yet, but sure. So Fiorentina beat Bologna on penalties. Lazio beat Roma with the score of 1-0. Atalanta beat Milan 2-1 away from home. Atalanta are just on fire at the moment. And
it's Coop Miners, man. He's incredible.
Yeah,
Ever since, bro, by the way, thank you for that kit.
Yeah.
For those of you who listen regularly, you'd know that for Christmas, Matthew got me a Coop Miners kit.
Coop Miners away kit, the white one.
The exact same one that he knocked Milan out wearing.
By scoring 2.
Thanks to his brace, Thanks, bro.
So Coop Miners beat Milan 2-1 away from home. And Juve beat Frosinone 4-0. Shock that Frosinone conceded 4 goals. The semi-finals are now Juve against Lazio, which is taking place on the 3rd of April, and Fiorentina against Atalanta, also on the 3rd of April. Do keep in mind that the Coppa is always a one-legged fixture until the semi-finals. The semi-finals are then 2 legs, home and away, and then the final again, 1 leg.
Very, very strange layout to a tournament, in my opinion.
Yeah, they do the same thing with the, I believe with the playoffs. They do the same thing, the Serie B playoffs.
Exactly.
We also, this week, tomorrow, or today, if you're listening in Australia or wherever the fuck, or tomorrow morning.
18th of January, baby.
18th January is a good way to put it. There's Napoli-Fiorentina in the Supercoppa Italiana semi-final, along with Inter-Lazio on Friday, 19th January, as well in the semi-final. Now, you might be thinking, isn't the Supercoppa Italiana final the winners of the Coppa versus the winners of the league? Yes, but there was an opportunity for the league to make more money.
11 million euros.
11 million euros. And you know what? I think it's strange that they've done this, but the league needs money. You could see it.
But you're taking it away from the fans, eh?
And you're taking it away from the teams because, you know, it should be one game where you have the chance of winning a trophy for your successes in the earlier season. So
it's being played in Saudi Arabia, right?
Yes, in Riyadh.
And apparently they're upset because it's not going to attract as many viewers as they hoped because there's no Juventus and there's no Milan. They're like, what is this?
So the way they're doing it this year is basically the winners and the runners-up of the Coppa, hence Inter and Fiorentina, versus the winners and runners-up of the league, hence Napoli and Lazio. So it's the winners of the league facing the runners-up of the Coppa, and the winners of the Coppa versus the runners-up of the league. At least like that, they're making it more likely that both winners will progress and that there isn't a repeat fixture. So at least there's that thought behind it.
Yeah. We also have news that we've got a drop, guys, a surprise podcast episode. We've been teasing it for a while towards the end of our episode, saying stay tuned for something special.
Yeah,
yes,
really good marketing by us. Stay tuned, guys, it's happening.
We've got an interview with Joseph Menala lined up. Those
yes,
of you will remember Joseph Menala if you've been following football for a while. In 2014, he was accused of being, 42 years old?
Yeah, 42.
Yeah, and the Italian FA had to launch an investigation on this Lazio 17-year-old prodigy, essentially named Joseph Menala. He's currently playing for Slima Wanderers in Malta at the age of 27 years old, and we managed to land him for an interview. It's a 30-minute interview, and it'll be out on Monday.
Yep, very exciting stuff. Can I just say what a top quality guy he is?
He's so humble.
Very, very humble. We spent some time with him after as well, catching up. He played under Davide Nicola, bro.
Spoke so highly of him, and by the way, Nicola's been appointed at Empoli.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It really went under the radar.
Oh my god.
But that's massive, because Empoli can't seem to find a goal, and what Joseph Minala told us is that, he said this after the interview, Davide Nicola is the type of manager that makes you want to die for.
Yeah, which is why
he for the manager.
He did what he did twice.
He told us that Nicola makes football about life.
Yeah,
and he mentioned that Nicola lost a son when he was younger.
Oh yeah,
and that he uses that experience as well to motivate the players and to transcend kind of life into football.
Yeah, the Salernitana fans have till today a day named after him, San Minala Day. But anyways, we're not going to give you more information about it because you won't listen. We do have video in this. We are still getting started with video, something we're not used to, so it is off of my iPhone. I wouldn't say the quality is bad. I'd say it's
maybe the layout's a bit bad.
Yeah, maybe
I'm sad behind you.
Look, we're in the process of and with the Patreon money, hopefully we could invest in some good cameras, a better setup in the studio. We're doing good, man. We're doing good. This was a step in the right direction for us. It was our first interview with a footballer. Great to have someone who has experienced the highs of Italian football, both in Serie A and Serie B, and also going through that controversy. It's good to feel that emotion in an interview as well. So I do believe it's a good watch, guys. So do tune in to watch. And yeah, we'll have more in the pipeline. Malta is attracting some more big name players, or big name coaches trying to get some experience.
We've got Camoranesi coaching Floriana. We've got Marchetti playing in goal for Hamrun. These are players with a lot of pedigree in Italy.
We've had Miccoli playing with Birkirkara. How I wish, bro. That would have been nuts. I love Miccoli.
Yeah. Imagine the stories he has. We mentioned that it's possible for us to actually potentially buy a camera very soon because we're doing quite well because of the patrons. The patrons have given us some consistent income. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Slooge McNoodle, Andrew Batman, Kyle, David, Michael, Anthony, Luca Argento, Matthias, Matteo, Mike Tonna, Luke Mintoff, Jose, Lena, Andy, Alan, and Ed. Thank you. Frustrating to read out all the names maybe for some listeners, but these guys deserve all the credit they can possibly get because they are giving something back to the podcast.
They are a piece of this. They are a piece of this. They are our official partners. We speak to these guys every day. I do care about every single one of them. They're really chill. They're really alright. And
they're always at games. There's always some content coming in.
Oh man. I believe it was Andrew Batman. Andrew Batman was recently at the Sociedad Athletic Bilbao derby, and it's so cool just seeing these videos. You've got families out with their kids. It's like a celebration. A day like that, you take the day off and you go out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he said,
you 13-year-olds drinking whiskey in public.
He said that it reminded him of what football means to society in general, which is nice. Yes.
Yeah. In other news, we're also announcing the winner of our giveaway tomorrow, exactly, also on the 18th of January. So this is officially your last chance to enter the giveaway. We'll be doing it in the evening in order to give everyone the chance to enter. Thank you.
For those of you who don't know, it's a sweater with our logo on it.
Yes, thank you very much to Embroidered Malta. It is an embroidered logo, so it does look very, very cool. It is handmade. Thank you again to Embroidered Malta for helping us out over there and giving us the opportunity to give back to the community. So, last chance to enter, guys.
Shall we?
Yes, let's get into the rundown of this week. So we'll start things off, obviously, with Milan 3, Roma 1. Brilliant performance by Milan. I would say horrible performance by Roma as well. They lacked everything in this game, and it did inevitably lead to the sacking of Jose Mourinho. Monza 1, Inter 5. It was a show that Inter put on. Fantastic performances all round, and Monza defensively they left a lot to be desired. Juve 3, Sassuolo 0. This was last night. 2 fantastic goals by Vlahovic and Chiesa, just putting that cherry on top. Fiorentina 2, Udinese 2. Fiorentina fought back twice in order to draw this game in their own stadium. Udinese looking more powerful as the season progresses. Very different to last season. Lazio 1, Lecce 0. It was a great finish by Felipe Anderson to give them that slender 1-0 lead. Atalanta 5, Frosinone 0. We saw a brilliant CDK goal. We saw Ederson get on the score sheet. We saw Cope Miners get on the score sheet. We saw Home getting his first goal for Atalanta. And Frosinone just absolutely abysmal defending. And just abysmal all round, to be honest, man. Napoli 2, Salernitana 1. This is somewhat of a southern derby between these two sides, and it was Rahmani who got the winning goal for Napoli. Maybe a little foul that went under the radar over there. We're going to address the Inter one a couple of weeks ago. Let's address this one as well.
Absolutely. Inzaghi wasn't very happy.
No. Then again, the Inzaghis have got quite a temper on them. There was Cagliari 2, Bologna 1. It was another occasion where Bologna dropped points. Another occasion where Cagliari gained points. Brilliant goal by Petagna, and it was an own goal by Calafiori that took Cagliari over the line. Verona 2, Empoli 1. It was Djuric and Ingonge who got the winning goals for them. Ingonge, breaking news, 19 million. Napoli.
Apparently so, that's mental.
Yep, I just heard today, man. And Genoa 0, Torino 0, and it was a fantastic performance by Vanja Milinkovic-Savic and also one of my favourite defenders in the league, Alessandro Buongiorno.
But I think we should start, bro, with Milan 3, Roma 1.
Makes sense.
The reverse fixture, of course, was a 2-1 victory for Milan. Those of you who remember it will remember Giroud scoring a penalty, Leao scoring, and then Spinazzola, Madonna.
I've done that before as well.
Spinazzola scoring late on. Tomori got a red card, actually, that game.
Oh, yeah.
This time, Milan were home, of course, and Zlatan and Khabib were at the game. Khabib Nurmagomedov, how do you pronounce
Khabib Nurmagomedov.
That's the one. He's a fantastic, what would you call him? An
MMA fighter, 29 and his style is wrestling. He beat up Conor, Dustin, Gaethje, everyone.
If he takes you to the ground, it's
done. His technique. This guy grew up in Dagestan wrestling bears. Yeah. And everyone he fights are like, it's not even his strength, it's his technique. So there you go, small kings.
Roma started out this game with a surprise change in goal as Svilar entered the fray. It was a 3-5-2 formation with Lorente, Mancini and Christensen at the back, with Spinazzola out on the left, Celik out on the right, Bove, Paredes and Cristante in the middle, with Lukaku and El Shaarawy starting up front as Dybala was still unavailable.
Yep.
Also, please note, Mourinho was also unavailable for this, so he got sacked without even being at the game that he lost the last game.
Yep.
Maignan was in goal for Milan as they deployed their 4-3-3 formation / 4-2-3-1, debatable, and the kind of changes during the game as well. We also see kind of a 3 at the back thing going on sometimes at points in the game.
I like it too.
Calabria was out on the right, Theo Hernandez was out on the left, with Kier and Gabbia as the centre-back partnership. Of course, Gabbia being recalled from his loan at Villarreal because of the crisis. Loftus-Cheek, Adli and Reinders were in the middle, with Pulisic out on the right, Leao on the left and Giroud up front. Milan weathered Roma's initial storm. They displayed good defensive work. Pioli had Reinders marking Cristante, Loftus-Cheek disrupting Paredes, and Pulisic shadowing Bove. They seized the lead, Milan, with a beautiful move in the 11th minute, which saw Adli fake a shot. That's another goal.
Oh my God! How didn't we, man?
No, don't worry. I'll put him in the poll. Don't worry. It's
Yassine, baby.
Yassine, what a goal! He fake shot. Christensen went flying, and then he just slotted it home past Svilar beautifully. And then you could see in the celebration the passion in his face.
Adli è un tifoso rossonero.
See, man. You can tell, and even apparently he's been getting offers. He was linked to Salernitana at one point. These would be good moves for his career, but he doesn't want to hear any of that.
I love him so much.
He wants to become a regular player for Milan, and hard work pays off because he's doing brilliantly right now. All that was missing, to be honest, was his defensive work, and he's totally improved it. And especially playing in a 3-man midfield, he's a bit more protected.
Yeah, and in a game like this, he suits it so much because, again, Roma are going to let you have the ball and they're going to let you be creative. And when he has time, space, and the ball at his feet, there are few players in Milan's team that can move the ball around the way he does. And keep in mind, this is a natural number 10. So when he found himself in a situation like that, just outside the area, the feint and the finish is something that can come naturally to him.
Absolutely, yes. He's a little bit more of a traditional kind of fantasista, right?
Yeah.
The way he plays. There's something so old school about him. We said in the last episode, he's got a real 90s feel to him.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. In the second half, Roma reshuffled their cards. They brought on Pellegrini to try to inject some life into the game, but it was in the 56th minute that a cross came into the box, into Roma's area. Kier headed it across goal to Olivier Giroud, who headed into the back of the net, and suddenly Milan are 2-0 up. However, Calabria in the 68th minute missed a very good opportunity to make it 3. And then on the attack, after he missed that opportunity, he gave away a penalty. A very clumsy challenge. Very stupid, naive challenge, right?
Rash.
Yeah, very rash, exactly. And he knew it, you could see it
before that,
he has a top game.
He was brilliant.
Yeah, apart from that, of course.
Yeah.
Paredes scored the penalty. Manian held the ball. They had a bit of a moment.
Dribbled it a bit like a basketball dribble kind of thing.
But then, of course, the confirmation of the victory came in the 84th minute when Giroud just flicked the ball onto Theo Hernandez beautifully. What a flick on by Giroud. Theo Hernandez, of course, did what he does best. He smashed the ball as hard as he possibly could off the crossbar and into the net. And then you can see Cardinale and Ibrahimovic in the stands exchanging a look like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, did you see that?
Yeah. The French trio. For Milan.
The three musketeers, bro. The French connection.
Yeah.
What fantastic players, honestly. And look, those of you who listen regularly again will know that there was a point in time where I was really slandering Giroud, saying that Milan can't be focusing and relying on a 38-year-old striker for the whole season. I don't think that this game proved my point wrong. You can deploy Giroud situationally. In a game where you're going to dominate possession and the opposition team is going to let you have the ball, you afford to play Giroud.
Yeah.
Against a team like Inter or a European fixture, for example, or maybe Napoli of last season, where you have a team that's dominating the ball and pushing you and forcing you into your own box, and you need to rely somewhat on the counter, Giroud limits you. So it's not exactly an anti-Giroud agenda. I love Giroud. I have a Giroud kit. He's one of my favorite players of Milan. I have great memories of him in the Scudetto season, you know what I mean? And I was calling for him and screaming for him for years before Milan actually signed him, because Milan were always linked to him. However, yes, it would be nice to have a more mobile option for those big games, and it's a good thing Jovic has found some form, because it has given Milan that outlet.
I continue to say, even I wouldn't say that you ever slandered Giroud, by the way. I think you made the very valid point of Milan, just like they used to rely on Zlatan when he was 39, are now relying on Giroud when he's 38, and Milan are playing 2 to 3 matches a week, which doesn't make sense, especially at that age. If you get an injury, then that could be detrimental for your career. I think stylistically, experience-wise, and everything, Giroud is the perfect striker for the Milan system. However, he shouldn't be relied on because of his age. I do like that Jovic brings a very similar profile when it comes to skill control and hold-up play and creativity. However, he doesn't have that physical presence in the box that Giroud has. I think profile-wise, Giroud is absolutely perfect for Milan. And at 38, bro, he is still excellent.
He's in top condition.
Yes.
He has hardly suffered any injuries this season. Touch wood.
Stop it, man.
Yeah. And yes, man, if it weren't for that limitation of him not being able to get to those loose balls, simply because, of course, he's quite leggy at his age. But yes, that you can't say anything about his work rate and his professionalism, because he's in top condition, works hard, leaves everything on the pitch, presses until he's taken off. Sometimes you see this is the 80-something minute, he would have been playing all game, and he's still pressing up there.
Yeah.
You know, it's fantastic to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so this game saw Pioli, who is undefeated against Mourinho. He's the only manager to have played Mourinho 6 times and remain undefeated, right? and everyone was saying that Pioli might be at risk of getting sacked.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was he who got Mourinho sacked.
Yeah.
So De Rossi is in charge now. And those day one listeners, once again, I'm going to keep mentioning this episode's for you, our day oneers.
Yeah.
They'll remember that we had a very good friend of ours, Mitul. Remember
Yes,
Mitul?
absolutely.
He used to write a few articles for us back in the day. They're still on our website if you want to go, SerieAspotlight.com. He sent us a pros and cons list that he had made about De Rossi from his time at Spal, which I would like to read out right now. So he has pros. Understands the club from inside and outside as he was born and bred in Rome. Very good. Roma Academy product, went on to become the second biggest footballing legend of Roma. After Totti, of course.
Absolutely.
Regarded as one of the finest CDMs of his generation with great on-pitch football knowledge. Very true, yes. He was Italy's assistant coach under Mancini when Italy lifted the Euro trophy in 2021. The cons. So far, he has only managed one team as a senior coach. It was Spal. They finished 18th and they had a win percentage of 17.64. And although he has the guidance of big coaches as he's worked under them, taking Roma's job will still be a very big step for him as he is inexperienced, no proper CV, and he got the UEFA license in only 2020.
Madonna.
So, yes, we've spoken about this already a little bit, bro, but do you think De Rossi will make it to the end of the season?
I don't know. I don't know if this is this signing Roma accepting their fate for the season, because that's what it seems like to me. It doesn't seem like the move of an ambitious team. What can De Rossi give you that Mourinho couldn't?
The only thing I can think of is an initial burst, because a new coach comes in, everyone wants to impress him.
Anyone will do that now.
Literally.
Do the owners want a puppet? Do they want a leader who has been there and just is simply there out of motivation? Because that doesn't work. You can't just have a motivator. In Italy, no. You need a tactician. You need a genius. You need someone who, all right, he knows the team, but does he know the team? Does he know how this starting 11 should operate? Does he know how to get the best out of these players? Plus, when we talk about club legends taking over, I always find that it's a bit risky from an ego perspective. Now you'll tell me De Rossi loves the club, same way Totti loves the club, same way Zlatan loved Milan, for example.
Okay.
All valid. However, could there be a world where his ego would want to stop Pellegrini from matching the amount of accolades that De Rossi has achieved?
I don't. In this case, okay, I'm sure that's a thing, first of all, because yes, football players are there because they're
it's
highly
a silly
competitive,
example,
right?
because Pellegrini is obviously he's nowhere near yet. He's still youngish. You know what I mean?
No. I think De Rossi's always been the type of manager, or the type of player, to put the team first. The classic example was during the Euros with Ventura, when they failed to qualify for the World Cup, and Ventura had told him to warm up, and he was like, what the fuck are you telling me to warm up for? You should tell him to warm up. And he pointed at Insigne. He's like, we need a goal. I'm not going to give you a goal right now. He could have got another cap for the Italian national team, but in reality, he wanted to progress to the next level. I don't think that his ego would per se be an issue. I think the main issue simply is that he is underqualified, and it's as simple as that. You would have been better off bringing in fucking... what the hell, Ballardini, you would have been better off bringing in Iacchini. These guys, at least they've managed teams for years, it's been 20 years of management for those guys. Like, I just don't understand it. I can't understand it at all.
That's what it comes down to, because if at least bring in someone with a unique skill set, or someone that has something that Mourinho was missing.
Exactly, yes. Bring in someone who's domestically consistent, something like that.
And so it's not like there aren't options. Now, I know Roma are constantly living on a tight-ass budget and this was a quick solution, but why did you need a quick solution? Like, you could have felt out the rest of the season under Mourinho. You're probably still paying his salary until the end of the season, so haha. I just don't get it. It's tough to put my finger on it. I really think that Roma are accepting their fate over here, and I'm unsure whether they'll get Europe or not.
I'm confused though by this
We
accepting
need to
their
see.
fate.
We need
Look,
to see.
They're 5 points off a fourth spot right now. 5 points off a fourth spot.
They're
They're in a
not far
European
off.
competition, you know. I don't get it. Maybe the style didn't quite. Maybe they were tired of the style of football he was
But
playing.
now, not last summer.
I don't know.
They knew 2 seasons of Mourinho before. Why halfway through the season, really?
It shocked me completely because the Friedkins have always defended Mourinho.
Till the day before.
Yes, literally. And it's even weirder when you notice the fact that Pinto is no longer Roma's sporting director and they actually don't have a sporting director. What's the plan here, Chief? What's going on?
I would honestly hate to be a Roma fan right now.
Yeah.
Shout out to all you Roma fans. I hope it turns out alright. I do really like the club. I'm really fond of them. I just hope that this is like a Motta coming through.
Yeah.
You know what
I hope
mean?
he does well, honestly.
I hope he does well because De Rossi, as a footballer, one of my favorite defensive midfielders in Italian football history. Honestly,
He's fantastic. He was a true gladiator on the pitch. There weren't many like him.
Yeah.
This game also featured, by the way, a new haircut for Theo Hernandez.
Absolutely. What a cutie patootie,
He's
man.
got a perm, and I think the person who loved it the most was Giroud.
Yeah.
Constantly playing with it.
Yeah.
Constantly. Quite funny.
Giroud acts up with his teammates.
Yeah,
I
he
love
does.
it.
Remember the whole Mbappe thing in the
Oh,
World Cup?
man.
There was... I thought Gabbia had a fantastic performance. I'm
Bravissimo.
so impressed by Gabbia. I've never understood the criticism that Gabbia got. He's not a freak of nature like Tomori is when you're physically just so much... When you're physically superior to your opponent. Gabbia is like a real person, you know. But he played well, man. He played super. And he plays like a veteran player.
It was a good, let's call it a debut, because it was returning to the club naturally. He played it safe a lot. You know, he had a smart performance. What impressed me was his decision making when it came to the press. So when there was a player ahead of him, in front of him, who's receiving the ball, he knew when to hold back and he knew when to go for the interception or go and barge the player. He knew when to commit a foul. This is because obviously it's the experience he has within the team. He's played alongside Kier before, he's played alongside Theo before, and to me, as much as I found it like bringing back Gabbia was a bit of a panic button, in hindsight it was also a smart decision because you're bringing in someone who is capped for the team a number of times.
And you own him. You don't have to actually spend. And it was a good decision, clearly. And now's the time for him to really make a name for himself. So, because, you know, when everyone's fit, in reality, he's going to be fifth fiddle again. So now's the time for him to really get his name out there. Yeah. One thing I forgot to mention about Giroud and how impressive he is that he's hit double figures this season for 3 seasons in a row. The last person to do that was Pato. To hit double figures in
another
3 seasons
monster.
Yeah.
Milan haven't had a consistent striker in a while, and I'm glad Giroud is that guy.
Right.
You know what you didn't mention?
Musa.
Yep.
That's my next point. Musa came on, and in the 89th minute, he dribbled everyone and hit the post.
Everyone he dribbled, guys. Jake's not even exaggerating.
I'm not even exaggerating.
That would have actually been our goal of the week had it gone in. Honestly, it would have been. It was absolutely crazy. And also, good in-game management by Pioli in this game. I have to say, because that's the main criticism that I've had in the past of Pioli and that I typically still have. But with this injection of youth that Milan have, it has increased the amount of weapons that he has, the amount of options that he has, and I love that he trusts them.
Yes, sometimes a little bit too much. Like, for example, Milan have crashed out of the Coppa Italia now, right? Personally, I don't think there was a reason to start Jimenez from the first minute in a fucking knockout game against Atalanta.
Yeah.
In a tournament where you have Inter out and you have Napoli out. You know, you got Bologna, Fiorentina, Juventus. Like it was
a missed opportunity.
So that was a little bit questionable in my opinion. But yes, otherwise he's balanced them pretty well. Other than that, yes.
Yeah, I do think that the 3-5-2 now. I know previously after watching Jimenez for the first time, I said, "Wow, a 3-5-2 with or a 3-4-3 rather, with Theo left centre back and Jimenez left wing back would be lit." But of course,
we're talking long term.
Yeah, long term in the future, in a couple of seasons. But yeah.
Yeah, I think we can move on to the next one. Milan are currently in third with 42 points as they have gained some consistency in the league, while Roma find themselves in ninth with 29 points and a noob manager.
Yes, sir. Next up is Monza 1, Inter 5. Very dominant display over here by Inter, as obviously the scoreline suggests. Inter were coming off a 2-1 victory against Hellas Verona, whilst Monza were coming off a 3-2 away win against Frosinone. After failing to win in their 2 matches against Monza last season, where they drew 1 and lost 1, Inter won the reverse fixture against Monza this season with a score of 2-0 with a brace from Lautaro Martinez on the opening day of the Serie A season, making it 2 out of 2 this season for the Nerazzurri. Inter came into this match as winter champions, but struggled in recent games with controversial goals for the draw in Genoa and win over Hellas Verona. De Marco returned to the starting lineup with Juan Cuadrado injured, whilst the host had Michele Di Gregorio out injured, Caprari, Papu Gomez and Jose Machin out of action. Daniel Maldini was on the bench for Monza in this game, which is super cool. Monza lined up in a 3-4-1 formation with Sorrentino in goal and the backline of Caldirola, Gagliardini, question mark, and D'Ambrosio.
Yeah.
Pereira as the left back, Churia as the right wing back, with Pessina and Bondo in the double pivot, Carboni and Colpani playing behind Dani Mota. For Inter, it was the classic 3-5-2 with Sommer in goal and the backline of Pavard, De Vrij and Bastoni, Darmian out on the right, De Marco out on the left, and the midfield three of Barella, Çalhanoğlu and Mkhitaryan, with the formidable Lautaro Martinez and Thuram up front together. Now I'll just breeze through the happenings of this game because we'll be here all night. Çalhanoğlu converted his 7th penalty of the season in the 11th minute, where he sent Sorrentino the wrong way after a handball in the area by former Inter player Gagliardini, now turned centre-back for some reason.
Crisis.
Not really. Itzo was on the bench.
But Itzo's kind of fallen out of favour. I believe he was injured and he's not really been utilised. It's just weird that they're playing D'Ambrosio and Gagliardini, 2 non-centre-backs in a 3-at-the-back formation.
Yeah, D'Ambrosio's played at a 3-at-the-back at Inter, for example. Not even too bothered about that. But Gagliardini is just like not it
weird one, yeah.
at centre-back. Lautaro slid into finish into an empty net in the 14th minute after a low cross by De Marco. De Vrij did very well to initially carry the ball forward over here, not something we see often. In the 29th minute, Pessina's header was chalked off after a VAR check deemed him offside. It was marginal. In the 58th minute, Palladino was sent off for dissent, telling the referee something about his mother. 2 minutes later, Çalhanoğlu got his 2nd of the night. Mkhitaryan crossed the ball to Thuram, who, instead of shooting, backheeled the ball to Hakan, who finished with power. It was great vision by Thuram. And I believe Mkhitaryan was pointing to Çalhanoğlu when he played the ball to Thuram, like play him the back heel. That is great vision as well by Mkhitaryan. That's what experience gets you. In the 68th minute, Monza pulled one back through a penalty by Pessina, where he sent Sommer the wrong way. He once again went for that Jorginho-style penalty, which he totally screwed up against Napoli, so it does show that the kid has got some cojones. In the 83rd minute was another penalty, again for Inter. Lautaro smashed the ball in from the penalty spot after Akpa Akpro clumsily brought down Frattesi moments after coming on for Pessina. In the 87th minute, Thuram made sure to send Caldirola back to Werder Bremen's reserve team with a delicious feint before slotting cleanly into the near corner. So Monza 1, Inter 5. It was Monza's biggest ever home loss in Serie A.
Mm-hmm, yes, to be fair, they've only been in Serie A this is their 2nd season, isn't it? So it's just fun with these stats. You know, Carlos Augusto, Monza's all-time top scorer. But yeah, Monza have had a tough run, you know.
Yeah.
So they've had, so Juve, Genoa, Milan, Fiorentina, Napoli, Frosinone, and now Inter.
No wonder Palladino's not sacked because of the negative run of form. Absolutely, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Honestly, Inter blew them away. Last week we highlighted the importance of Di Marco He had just come back from injury, but he wasn't quite himself. This game, he was himself again, and they just ran rampant.
And they've got their flow back.
Absolutely, man. He connects that back line to the strikers so well. And just seeing Thuram and Martinez just having a field day like that. Even Hakan, man, had a very good game.
Yeah, excellent game. I want to talk a bit about Gagliardini being played as a centre-back. You said there's a crisis, but as far as I'm concerned, the only injuries they've got is to their goalkeeper, to Caprari, to Gomez, and to Machin. So if they have got a crisis, it's their fault.
It's a lack of personnel, yes. Possibly a lack of planning.
Yeah.
I'm looking at their bench right now. They don't have... There's Pablo Mari, who should be maybe featuring
Mari,
instead.
Itzo.
You know, Mari had a good season last year. Itzo, exactly, had a fantastic season last year, Itzo. He was amazing at the back. Displaying great technique as well. Pretty much being flawless every single game, you know, holding the ball, building play with Churia. And I think even earlier this season, he was playing quite well as well. It's strange how he's fallen out of favour all of a sudden to a central midfielder.
And, you know, Gagliardini, rather than starting in midfield, he was replaced, his midfield role was replaced by Warren Bondo, who, you know, we've only seen him feature 5 times. He played 318 minutes this season, so it just doesn't seem like a very wise setup when you're facing a team like Inter.
Not at all, especially when you have veteran centre-backs on the bench. Bondo's only 20 years old, and you've got Gagliardini, an ex-Inter player. You could just pop him in the middle and hope that he, you can just put... Gagliardini is a bit of a... He's an aggressive player. He's a talker. You know, he'll kick you, he'll talk to you. You know, he's a dirty player. Put him on Çalhanoğlu, man, in the midfield. You know?
Yeah. Agreed.
Try to disrupt them like that. I don't know why he was centre back. It doesn't make any sense.
Agreed. And in fact, you see them conceding 5 goals. I mean, okay, Inter are capable of scoring. I mean, they scored 5 goals against Milan this season. You know what I mean? Like, Inter, this is what Inter do. However, Monza did look out of place when they were defending. They often looked out of position. They often didn't maintain that back line, and there were holes that Inter were directly attacking. I mean, case in point is Lautaro's goal where he slid in. How easy was it for Lautaro to slot in between 2 of those centre-backs? One of them commits to go onto Di Marco, and a hole is created. You know what I mean?
That's what you get when you try to play your own brand of football, right? Monza here didn't settle. They didn't just park 2 banks of fucking 4 and, 2 pressing strikers. They actually tried to play their game, and they got demolished. That's the downside of it. You look at the way Salernitana have been playing, for example. They're not getting smashed. They're putting out a defensive system every time, with their strikers' main purpose being to disrupt passing lanes, to cut out passing lanes in semi. So maybe Monza it would have been wise probably for them to go for something like this for this game.
I mean, at halftime they Palladino kind of realized, because at halftime he changed it to a 4-2-3-1 formation. And that, I'm pretty sure Gagliardini was not a centre back anymore after the first half. But enough about Monza, because I think it's really time to highlight Inter. Lautaro Martinez, remarkable form that he's on right now. He is miles ahead of everyone in the top scorer charts. I'm not even sure who's second. I think Giroud might be second with 10.
Absolutely.
And Lautaro has got 18 goals in 18 Serie A appearances. Which is...
It's crazy. He's doing really well, man.
Which is mental.
They're not missing Lukaku at all.
No.
No,
I almost forgot that Lukaku was at Inter last year. No matter who is next to Lautaro, it's almost like Lautaro's the king. The last time Lautaro wasn't the king for Inter up front is when they had Conte's Lukaku. Lukaku was an absolute monster.
He was the main man.
Yeah.
But now it seems that Lautaro has taken that role, and Thuram has become the Lautaro of that season.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exact. Çalhanoğlu scored a brace in this game. He scored 7 out of 7 penalties, which he had this season. Inter have had like 100. But he got a yellow card, and he's missing the Fiorentina game away from home, which, knowing Inzaghi, who would not be very happy about that. And if you look at Inter's
history
fixtures coming up, it is quite a crazy run they have. So their next game is So before Fiorentina away, they're playing Lazio in the semi-finals of the Coppa Italiana. And then they play Fiorentina away from home in the league. And then they play Juve at home in the Derby d'Italia. And then Roma away. And keep in mind, this is De Rossi's Roma, which they play, so formidable. And then they play Salernitana, who, let's be real.
They're a tough gig.
Tough fucking gig. Yeah. Very tough gig. And then after that, they've got Atletico Madrid. And then, Lecce. But then they face Atalanta.
Yes.
So they do have a tough run in. And then after that, they've got Bologna, Atletico, Napoli. If there's a time, because keep in mind, the fixtures that I just mentioned, this is when the Champions League is going to be on as well. If there's a time where Inter are going to drop points, this period is the one. Over the next 2 months, if Juve want to win the league, they need to bank on Inter's fatigue in these big games, playing Atletico and then playing God knows who in the quarterfinals if they make it through. And then they've got the Super Coppa Italiana. And then they've got they're out of the Coppa.
They're out of the Coppa.
They're out of the Coppa, but still a tight fixture list.
Yes, and Juve actually have a chance to go ahead of them because of the Super Coppa Italiana. A few fixtures have been postponed from the coming match day. I hate that, by the way.
For Fanta especially, man.
For Fanta culture, it's the worst. By the way, if you do 6 Politico, you're a fucking nightmare. You're crazy.
Stop listening if you do that.
6 Politico,
get the fuck off.
We're anti that. we wait, alright? We wait 2 months for fucking Petagna to play. Right? You know what I mean?
Then January comes
and they leave.
They're never gonna play. Like
and then your sub comes on.
You're a man. Yeah. You're a man down.
But yeah, this is going to be very telling. As I said, Juve have the opportunity to go ahead of Inter, and if you remember to Milan's Scudetto winning season, Inter had that game in hand for so long until Bologna. It was played against Bologna, and they fucking lost it. Man.
Yeah, man. Crazy.
So let's see. There's probably...
I screamed more during that game than I did in the Sassuolo game.
Yes.
I swear on my life.
Radu.
What
a hero.
What a fucking... We should get him on the pod. We should get Radu on the pod. Slip him €50 and a cheeky wink. Thanks, brother. Inter are apparently inching closer to sealing Meditaremi.
For the summer, though.
For the summer.
Yes.
Look me in the eyes right now.
I'm looking.
Look me in the eyes. Thuram and Taremi can fuck off. Can fuck off. The lack of respect they have towards Milan.
This is becoming a proper rivalry right now.
Yeah.
Like we're talking over here. So many side stories, man.
Frattesi chose Inter over Milan as well.
Exactly.
Have Inter got...
Inter have left Milan for Inter.
Do Inter have more pull power than Milan?
Of course they do at the moment, yes.
Yes, absolutely.
There's the fact that they made it to a Champions League final. They're the biggest Italian name at the moment in world football. At the moment, simply because of their Champions League run and the fact that they've been challenging for the Scudetto for a while now and they're ahead in their project. However, if you do look a bit more deeply into the situation, you'll know that Milan actually have a sturdier project than Inter.
I mean, yes, because Milan aren't 900 zillion in debt.
Inter have a lot of debt. They're struggling to stay afloat. What they do have is a fantastic sporting director and a great team with good pull power at the moment. So they're managing to stay afloat and they're managing to actually succeed. So let's see what happens to them in the long run. I'm not an expert on finance, never claimed to be. So we'll see what happens. Eventually, maybe a news article will come down. Inter close to liquidation. We'll see.
Another piece of news regarding Inter in the transfer market. We just spoke about how they're in debt, but apparently they're interested in everyone. They have joined Roma and Juve in the race for Genoa star Albert Gudmundsson. However, I did hear today that Juve are closing in.
On Gudmundsson?
On Gudmundsson.
I heard they've closed in, they've agreed personal terms with Felipe Anderson to join them on a free. Juve, yeah. These are all, of course, just rumors for now.
Felipe Anderson,
weird.
Very interesting. Yeah. They don't even play with a right winger.
I know it's a weird one, but maybe they're looking at the post Allegri era. But yes, a Goodmanson would be unreal in that midfield three for Inter, or even if you pop him up front alongside Lautaro Martinez, he could be incredible, man. Goodmanson's a serious player.
No,
Goodmanson,
needs to be.
We're talking about the starter at a good team, like
Goodmanson. From a technical standpoint, he can be very similar to Mkhitaryan in that sense, but I'd love him to be closer to goal, bro. I would prefer if, let's say, at Roma, they play a 3-4-1-2 with, let's say, Dybala and Lautaro up front, Goodmanson just
Dybala
behind
and
them.
Lukaku.
What did I say?
Lautaro.
Oh, alright, sorry. Lukaku and Dybala up front and Goodmanson just behind them. Like, I do believe he's more of a number 10 than a box-to-box.
He is the type of player who you don't really give him strict instructions. He has a free role.
Exactly.
He's that good. He's capable of deleting players,
Absolutely, man. Absolutely
deleting them, yeah.
Yeah. But that's enough for this match. I believe we can move on. Inter still first 2 points ahead of Juve. Like Jake said, because of some suspended games due to the Supercoppa Italiana being played in Riyadh, Juve might actually take top spot if they win their next fixture, naturally. Whilst Monza find themselves in 11th place on 25 points.
A colleague of mine who's a Juve fan believes that if they leapfrog Inter, they'll win the league. It'll become a psychological game, and he believes that Juve have an advantage there.
I was seriously thinking in the car today while I was in traffic, and I'm like, am I so sure that Inter are gonna win the league? I'm like,
no, bro.
No, I'm not. No. I'm not so sure Inter are gonna win the league.
They really messed up when they prioritized their domestic fixture instead of sealing that first spot in their group, man. Because their running is so difficult now.
Yeah. But it's more just a case of the fact that Juve aren't competing in many other competitions. Like, okay, they've got the Coppa Italia and the league. I mean, that's it. Inter have got the whole last Champions League to play if they advance against Atletico, which is, I mean, they might have a few players drop dead against Atletico. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it can totally happen. We'll see. Juve got revenge on Sassuolo, brother, on the other side. Well, on the other side, one step down the table.
Yeah, speaking of Juve.
Yes, and that's the segue. Not very smooth from my end. Yes, Juve beat Sassuolo 3-0. The previous encounter was a 4-2 victory for Sassuolo. If you remember that game, Lauriente scored, Berardi scored, Chiesa, Pinamonti, and then there were own goals by Vigna and Gatti as well. The Gatti one was memorable.
Back when Lauriente was possessed.
Yeah, back when he was...
good.
on good form, yes. Yeah. Juve lined up with Szczesny in goal. It was a 3-5-2 formation. Danilo, Bremer and Drugani at the back with Cambiauso out on the right, Kostic on the left, Miretti, Locatelli and Rabiot on the middle with Yildiz and Vlahovic up front. For Sassuolo, it was a 4-2-3-1 formation with Consigli in goal, Viti and Pedersen as the fullbacks with Ferrari and Erlich at the back. Bolocca and Henrique were the midfield double pivot with Lauriente out on the left, Berardi out on the right, Thordsvet playing behind, Pinamonti up front. It was a spectacular display, to be honest, by Juve. They were very convincing. They managed to beat a team that had beaten them 3 times in their last 5 games.
Fuck.
Yeah. The man of the hour, of course, was none other than Dusan Vlahovic, who showcased his incredible prowess and his magnificent left foot. That first goal actually kind of was reminiscent of Berardi, funnily enough.
Yeah.
That beautiful curler. And that actually came in the 15th minute. In the 37th minute, he had a free kick, which he placed in the other corner.
Delicious.
And then in the 89th minute, as the game progressed, Chiesa eventually got a goal that would seal the deal for Juventus. Sassuolo attempted to stay in the game. They relied on Berardi's left foot and Lauriente's right foot, funnily enough.
Exactly.
But they encountered a very good version of Szczesny, who made very good saves and kept them out of the game.
Yeah, I believe it was the early stages of the second half where Sassuolo kind of picked it up a little bit.
They tried.
But otherwise, Juve... Firstly, it was not that 1-0 Allegri style, but they actually, they had a 2-0 lead by half-time, and then sure, they let Sassuolo have the ball a little bit, but then caught them on the counter, and Chiesa got on the score sheet.
Exactly.
So brilliant display by Juve, honestly.
Yeah, and players like Volpato and Castillejo aren't quite going to make the difference. They're not quite the injection of quality that you'd want in the second half. Of course, nothing against Volpato, still a very young player. Castillejo, on the other hand, maybe not known for his goal-scoring prowess throughout his career. Yildiz, bro, is a talking point, and he will always be a talking point as long as he is playing, because he's so fucking exciting, dude.
Yeah, 18 is ridiculous.
18 years old, he's become pivotal for the national team, and he's walked into this Juve starting 11 right now. And in the first 17 minutes, he had already nutmegged 3 players. You know, he's so talented. He plays with so much flair, and he's got this confidence about him that nothing seems to put him down. You know,
he can be a serious player in the future, man. This guy, because how could you have? It's like, sure, you can have quality at 18, but quality with that confidence, it's almost arrogance. He's almost arrogant the way he plays, because how dare you think you could pull that shit off at 18 years old? How dare you think? But he's so confident in his abilities. Every time he gets the ball, he's so sure of what he's going to do, and that's what the youngsters lack in today's day and age. It's not the actual technique or the hard work or determination, but it's the confidence in their abilities. The fact that Yildiz walks in and says, I am better than everyone here. I'm going to dribble that guy, and I'm going to score. And he has absolutely no doubt about it. He's 18 years old, Jake, and he is one of the stars of Juve, and he is the star of the Turkish national team. This guy is going to be absolutely fucking huge in the field. Yeah. By the time he's 21, this guy could already accomplish so much.
It's true. Absolutely, man. And think about how much experience he would have gathered under his belt already at 21.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not just Yildiz. Vlahovic has fucking sprung to life, and apparently he's got a new girlfriend.
Oh yes.
So that's that might be what's changed his mood completely. I saw a comment on the YouTube video of the highlights. Someone said that he's such a moody guy, Vlahovic. That's what he needs, a woman to make him happy and stop him from being so moody. Like, bro, you're talking like you know him, you know. But yeah, nice to see him come back to life. Locatelli and McKennie are having fantastic seasons. Locatelli, this game was super, and he's been pretty good lately, Locatelli.
Yes, not remarkable, Locatelli. I still think that's a position that Juve should at least have someone competing for that starting role.
And apparently they were going for Henderson, but he's closer to Ajax now. That would have been a weird signing, in my opinion, Henderson. You buy Henderson if you want to win the league.
Yeah,
that's it for this season.
He's not bad, Henderson. He's not. He's
playing
not the
once
answer.
A week, you know. Yeah. It might be good.
He's not the answer, though.
No.
You know, it is quite a Juve signing, though. But I think the Englishman would rather live in Amsterdam than he would Turin.
Yeah, the weather is more similar to back home.
Yeah.
Weah had a crazy miss in the 75th minute. I don't know if you caught that.
Yes.
It was wild, man. He had so much time and he rushed it and he failed to hit the target. Big mistake over there by Weah. Listen to this stat.
Okay.
So in 2024, Bayern Munich have scored 4 goals, Liverpool 8 goals, Barcelona 8 goals, City 8 goals, PSG 13 goals, Real Madrid 13 goals, and Juventus 15 goals.
Whoa.
Yeah, Coppa Italia, right?
Look at them.
Yeah.
I mean,
good company there.
Yeah, literally. I mean, they put 6 past Salernitana, they put 4 past Frosinone, and they put 3 past Sassuolo.
Yeah, and yes, now they're no longer doing that whole 1-0 thing, which is nice to see, because that was something I would criticize Allegri. It's the 1-0, the Cortomuso is a very good approach, especially when taking on superior opponents. But if you're playing against these teams that you're just better than them on paper, you're better than them in the one-on-ones, you're a better drilled team with more financial power, you can blow them out of the water.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And there were certain situations, when the smaller team equalize against Juve and they get a goal back just like that. Just push and go to top.
They have got very offensive players as well, Juve. I mean, Vlahovic, Chiesa, Yildiz. In midfield, they've got Rabiot, who's a very, very offensive player nowadays. They want him as
Jr.
close
on the
to
bench.
goal as possible. Kostic is a very attacking winger. Illing Jr. on the bench. Weah's a very attacking winger. Some might even call him a striker. So they literally have the players to be a super attacking team. And I see this Juve team as a very, very pressing offensive side in the future. In 2024, next season rather, let's say they've got Soler back. Got Soler, Yildiz, Chiesa, Vlahovic, Miretti, Fagioli back by then. And that is just that team that you make them press and you make them not get the fuck off you. You bring in a modern manager and they can be unstoppable, man.
And not to mention with Champions League qualification, they will have the pull power because Juventus is an attractive brand for many players.
Absolutely. They're the biggest draw in Italy and they have been for as long as football's been around in Italy, I guess.
Yeah, they are currently in second with 49 points, while their opponents in Sassuolo are in 14th with 19 points.
Fiorentina 2, Udinese 2. We won our bet with this one, bro. We actually made some good money this week from betting. I think we put €10 on Fiorentina and Udinese to draw, and then Milan to beat Roma, and we returned 87.
Yeah, that was a pretty good bet, to be honest. I was quite confident going in.
Yeah. The Viola are still in 4th place despite coming off a 1-0 loss to Sassuolo, probably thanks to Bologna. Bologna's bad run of form.
Shitting the bed is a good term.
Yeah, because of Bologna shitting the bed. They also reached the Coppa Italia semi-final, the Conference League last 16, and they are preparing for this week's Super Coppa Italiana final for away to Napoli. Udinese, on the other hand, just simply coming off a 2-1 home loss to Lazio. The previous encounter was Udinese 0, Fiorentina 2 away from home. Now, despite the defeat to Sassuolo, Fiorentina have recorded their second best first half of the season in Serie A in the last 10 seasons with 33 points. Indeed, only in 2015-16 under Paulo Sousa did they earn more, where at this stage they had 38 points. Nico Gonzalez, Castrovilli and Dodo were injured, with Christian Kwame at the African Cup of Nations. The visitors, on the other hand, Mistiaka, Bijol, Enzo Ebosse, Gerard Delafeu, Brenner and Semedo, and also Simone Pafundi, still out. Quite a lengthy one for the young Italian over
Poor
there.
guy, he's only 17.
Right, man. For Fiorentina, it was their 4-2-3-1 formation with Terracciano on goal and the backline of Biraghi, Ranieri, Martinez Quarta and Coyote. They had Duncan and Mandragora as the double pivot, with Brecalo out on the left, Icone out on the right, and Bonaventura playing behind Beltran. Whilst the visitors in Udinese had a 3-5-1-1 formation, with Okoye once again getting the nod over Silvestri, and the backline of Ferreira, Perez and Christensen, Ebosele on the right, Kamara on the left, Lovric, Wallace and Samardzic in the middle, with Pereira playing behind Lucca. Now, in the 10th minute, Udinese opened the scoring. It was Lovric for the away side being unleashed by Lucca on a swift counter-attack. He did well to avoid Ranieri and slot into the bottom corner from an angle. Great finish. It's great how he held on to the ball, waited for Ranieri to commit before taking the strike, and great hold-up play by Lucca as well. In the 28th minute, Terracciano did very well to deny Pereira, who should have definitely passed the ball into the central area, but did not. The goalkeeper pulled off another great couple of saves in the 36th from a Samardzic free kick, and from the resulting corner where Samardzic went for a goal. Udinese were really attacking with promise over here, and they were all over Fiorentina. Now, when Fiorentina did manage to get into scoring positions, they were underdone by a shocking Jonathan Icone miss from 10 yards out. Now, at halftime, Fiorentina made 2 changes. They brought on new boy Faraoni for Coyote and Arthur for Duncan, clearly trying to get more offensive. In the 55th minute, they found their first equalizer of the match. Faraoni, the debutant, played a brilliant cross to the unmarked Beltran, who headed in to the bottom corner. Brilliant ball by Faraoni and a great header by Beltran. In the 63rd minute, Tovan's free kick almost crept in as Terracciano fumbled the ball onto the post before regathering it. And in the 72nd minute, Udinese regained the lead as Lovric did well to dribble past Brecalo and Biraghi before delivering a low cross to Tuvan, who slotted into the bottom corner well. The scorer turned provider. In the 86th minute, Nzola equalised from the spot after VAR called for a check following a blatant handball by Ferreira in the box. I have no idea why the referee had to go check VAR. Because if he just spoke to his homies, he's like, yo, what do you guys see from up there? Like, we saw the fucking centre-back's hand up in the air and the ball hit it. It's like, alright.
But the Atalanta
check
game,
this one out.
The Atalanta game, none of that, huh?
No, the Atalanta
Milan,
game
Atalanta.
had very questionable calls. Milan, Atalanta, and in the Coppa.
Sorry to bring that up. Sorry to be that guy.
You fucking...
And I ruined your
You
joke.
ruined my vibe. You ruined my vibe. In the 91st, Bonaventura almost sealed Fiorentina's comeback with a winning goal, only to hit the post with a half volley from just outside the area. My first talking point, which I want to talk about, is about Udinese. They have increased their flair significantly, and I feel that is due to the fact that they are attacking in numbers. And they also, I think they found their ideal starting 11. It is Lucca as a sole striker with Pereira just behind him, Pereira getting way closer to goal. And what this allows them to do is, firstly, they were having significant problems with linking the defense and midfield to the attack, because obviously there was the isolation nation. So Pereira fitting in there does a really good job. I know he's a workhorse, so he's constantly carrying the ball forward to Lucca. But then when they have the ball, Pereira's really joining the attack with Lucca. And then you have Sandy Lovric and Samardzic, who, if they both join the attack along with either Ebosele or Kamara, depending on what side they're attacking from, just simply those two players advancing, and Udinese have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players in an attacking area.
Yeah, they overwhelm. They overwhelm their opponent. Udinese have many technically gifted players. The likes of Samardzic, Pereira, of course, even Lucca, we've hailed his hold-up play.
Definitely.
He's been great. One of the best things that's happened to Udinese is Isaac's success, his injury, because they're no longer, I know it sounds harsh, and I'm sorry, Isaac, if you're listening. They have moved away from this pressing striker approach and are finally playing with a target man who is very capable of holding the ball up and flicking the ball on to his teammates, and also getting a few goals for himself as well. He's on 6 goals and 2 assists so far this season. The numbers keep increasing. And I believe he's only had 13 starts, 20 appearances in total. I like the way Udinese have been setting up lately. They're a nightmare of a team to face. I'm sure the day after playing Udinese, you'll be so sore because they're such a physical team.
Yeah. Success did come on for Lucca in the 58th when obviously he's fitter now. He's still getting back into it though. And I do feel like he did quite well coming on, particularly in Thuvan's goal where Lovric played the ball through. He did well to outmuscle a defender off the ball, creating more space for Thuvan to take his strike. So not to take anything away from him.
He's a total utility player. Isaac
Exactly.
Success. He will press, he will do a lot of work off the ball. But Lucca just has so much more to give, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And even because there are those technical players like Samardzic, Lovric and Pereira behind him, you need a striker that can play them the ball with his back towards goal.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Lucca does.
Home of the left-footed baller.
Yeah, so Udinese are going to struggle so much without Samardzic, because even from dead ball scenarios, the way he whoops those bad boys, and he was going for a goal from corners, bro. He forced a brilliant save out of Terracciano from the corner and from the free kick. Like, the guy is absolutely no joke. I am excited to see him at Napoli, though.
Yeah, imagine they're going to have him and Ngonge. That's interesting.
Yeah. I do believe that where Udinese won this game was in the midfield battle. Lovric, Wallace and Samardzic made life hell for Duncan and Mandragora in the double pivot. So much so that Bonaventura was joining the defensive midfield more and more to try combat them. But Udinese's midfield, they do have fantastic balance over there. Lovric, Wallace and Samardzic, and Pereira again, because he's in that free role. He slots into that midfield when Udinese are off the ball, and suddenly they've got fucking a 4-man midfield, like. So this Udinese side is set up to be a fucking nightmare to play against, and they get another draw over here. They are experts of that. But let's move on to Fiorentina a little bit. Faraoni made his debut, and he got a brilliant assist for that. How do you see Fiorentina's future with Faraoni in the team, especially when 19-year-old Coyote has had such a breakthrough this season?
I think it's healthy competition, personally. Faraoni nowadays is 32 years old. So if you're playing in 3 competitions, you need capable fullbacks, and I think that it's a good problem to have for them. I see potentially Faraoni becoming a starter this season, potentially. It will be very difficult though, because Coyote is an incredible talent, and the last thing they'd want to do is upset him, and if he's playing well, then you should play him.
And Coyote is very tidy defensively. He is a right back. He's by no ways a right wing back, and I feel like Faraoni is a right wing back. So when Fiorentina need a result and they maybe want to play the approach game a bit more pragmatically, which is something Italiano really has been doing this season, then Coyote could be the name. And then if they want to be a bit more offensive, especially if Biraghi isn't on the pitch and Parisi is on the pitch, for example, then they can afford to naturally play Faraoni on the other side, so they could use the right-hand side as an attacking outlet. I do think having Biraghi and Faraoni both on together could allow them to be caught a little bit on the break every now and then.
Yeah, and let's not forget to address as well Faraoni's leadership. He was a real hero at Verona. He played a massive part in that playoff game, despite not really featuring in the second half of the season that year. He's one of the reasons that Verona are still up, because he saved the ball off the line with his hand, and then Nzola misses the penalty. Nzola scored the penalty this game, and the referee, the commentator,
they're teammates now,
of course,
Nzola and Faraoni.
Can you imagine how awkward that was?
My god. I mean, all roads lead to Florence, though, am I right? Look at them both battling in a relegation play out, and now they're starting at Fiorentina together. Well, not starting, both of them came on. But they're both coming on for Fiorentina now.
Yeah, they've made it big. 2 protagonists in that game, and they've made their way out of those teams.
Absolutely.
And Zola's the best one. He sank Spezia and hopped off the boat.
And joined Fiorentina. He had been destined for a big move for a while, though. Fiorentina still find themselves in 4th place with a bit of luck, naturally. Atalanta and Lazio just a point behind them. Look at Lazio, how they've crept up, man. So Atalanta and Lazio on 5th and 6th, just 1 point behind Fiorentina, and then Bologna are just 2 points behind them. Whilst Udinese are in 16th place on 18 points, level on points with 17th place Cagliari.
Lazio really have crept up. In fact, they got another win for them. Against Lecce, 1-0. If you go back to match day 1, you remember the previous encounter. It was a 2-1 victory for Lecce. This was back when Lecce were in top 4. Remember that, the start of the season?
Lecce, the episode name title, Lecce are 4th.
Lecce are 4th. Yeah. Almqvist, Di Francesco and Immobile had scored that game.
Yeah, there you go.
This time it was a 1-0 victory courtesy of Felipe Anderson. The lineup was a 4-3-3 for Lazio, business as usual, with Provedel in goal, Marisic on the right, Pellegrini on the left, with Gila and Patrick at the back, Guendouzi, Rovella and Luis Alberto on the middle, the return of the king in Luis Alberto. Isaacson started out on the right, Zaccagni on the left, and Felipe Anderson actually started as a false 9 due to Castellanos being unavailable. And Immobile, I don't think, is in the best condition at the moment.
No.
It was a 4-3-3 for Lecce, who literally mirrored their formation. Granted, they always play a 4-3-3, or they usually play a 4-3-3 rather. Falcone was in goal. Jean-André out on the right, Gallo on the left, Baschirotto and Pongracic as the centre-back partnership, with Juan Gonzalez, Ramadani and Kaba in midfield, with Udon out on the right, Almqvist on the left and Kristovic up front. This was the 4th consecutive victory in a row for Lazio. They're eyeing that Champions League spot, and they obviously had to work harder than they expected to conquer Lecce, because Lecce, of course, will always give you a game. The match kicked off, and Lecce came out swinging. They tested Provedel early on, and Falcone had to make some crucial saves on the other end as well, so it was quite action-packed from the get-go. There were a few heated moments in the first half. Patrick was subbed off due to a shoulder injury, and there was a bit of a scuffle between Zaccagni and Jean-André, earning both a yellow card. Pongracic, Kaba and Isaacson got close to scoring, and Kristovic had a meh attempt on target. The deadlock continued into the second half. Sarri threw on Pedro for Isaacson to inject a new dynamic. I guess he wanted someone to cut inside more than to just charge forward.
Yeah.
Zaccagni came close to breaking the silence with a shot that grazed the crossbar, and then in the 75th minute, Felipe Anderson broke the deadlock. He found the net with a right-footed shot over Falcone, and Lazio finally broke through. Eventually, yes, Lazio just held out for the remainder of the game. Kristovic missed another good opportunity. Kaba couldn't find the target on another one. Immobile made a grand entrance in the 79th minute, earning cheers from the Olimpico. Vecino had a near miss. Falcone made some crucial saves, and tensions flared as Immobile clashed with Falcone, earning himself a yellow card. Another victory for Lazio. They are climbing that table.
They're climbing without looking incredibly convincing. Because if you look at their last 4 victories, talking about Serie A, naturally, yes, they've beaten the likes of Empoli, Frosinone, Udinese, and Lecce in their last 4 games. However, it always looks like they need to turn up a gear midway through their performance in order to be able to win these games. They're not easy or seamless victories. It's always a bit of a battle, no?
It's always a chess match. That's what it seems to be, more than anything else. I think the thing about Sarri is that you know what you're going to come up against. So teams do set up to actually disrupt them. In this situation, you had a man-for-man 4-3-3. And these Lecce players, once again, aren't the weakest. And in theory, they're actually stronger than these Lazio players. Like you look at the likes of, Zaccagni and Isaacson and Luis Alberto, Rovella, Pellegrini, Marisic. They're not the strongest guys in the world. They can get shoved over. So it was quite difficult for them to actually get this victory. However, there was a brilliant moment in that goal, man. Luis Alberto's flick on to Felipe Anderson was mental. They're very good. They're playing very well. And also, bro, Guendouzi is so complete for the Sarri team. He can do everything.
I'm just looking at Lazio's upcoming fixtures, and they also have a very tough run-in. So
because they've had it quite easy, to be honest, so far. As in, they've had a good spell.
I mean, not easy, because an away victory against Udinese, for example, is great. Yeah. You know what I mean? But still, they faced Empoli, they faced Frosinone, they faced Lecce. So
I think their hardest run-ins were Atletico and Inter in the last 10, and those were the ones they didn't win.
They have, exactly. But they have now Inter away, Napoli home, Atalanta away, and then Cagliari away, and then Bayern Munich, and then home to Bologna, then away to Torino, and then away to Fiorentina, then home to Milan, and then away to Bayern Munich.
It's a good thing morale is high at the moment for them, because that's a tough run-in.
Very tough run-in. We're talking 6 difficult games over there. Even Cagliari away isn't easy, and that's supposed to be their breather. Cagliari, who are striving for survival.
And block 4-4-2. Yeah. Luvumbo coming on in the 65th minute. Wait, he'll still be at AFCON, probably. No, actually, it's quite far down the line. It's true. And so Angola are going to make it very far.
10th of February. He might be back by then. He might be back.
One player we haven't really highlighted, by the way, on the spot is Mohamed Kaba of Lecce. I like what I see from him. He's not the tidiest. He's not always the tidiest, rather, but he's quite industrious, and quite a lot of their play goes through him, and he has impressed me, to be honest with you. Let me just pull up some information on him right now. He is 22 years old. He's French, and he's right-footed, standing at 185 centimeters tall. He's a pretty good player. Keep an eye out on him, guys. He's pretty good.
Yeah, the Frenchman is a bit more of an industrious player, perhaps, in that midfield. He gets a lot of dirty work done for his side. Actually, before this, he's only ever played in Ligue 2,
Ligue 2?
Ligue 2.
Wow. Oh, the French league just produces great talent.
It does. He's only played for Valenciennes before this. Valenciennes B and Valenciennes. And Lecce bought him for 3 million in August of 2023, so last summer.
Good business.
Yeah, decent business. Yes. He's quite a good player.
And this is Antonino Gallo's season. I don't know if you heard, because he's been super this year.
Yeah, Gallo has been good.
Last year he was the one that we weren't too sure about in that back four. This year he's taken it up a level. Huh?
And he's got competition this year in that position, because there is the Swedish player.
Yes.
Matthias would kill me if he was hearing this. Dorgu,
yes, Patrick Dorgu.
Yes, just 19 years old, and when we've seen him, he's looked clean.
Explosive, bro.
Yeah.
He looked as well.
He's not Swedish. He's Danish. My apologies.
Man, Matthias is gonna kill you.
Yeah, Matthias is gonna murder me. Hey, Matthias.
Hey, bro.
Hey.
So yes, Lecce after this, bro, are in 13th place with 21 points, while Lazio are up in 6th with 33 points. Let's see how they handle their tough run-in coming up.
Yeah, I got both of the games where there were 5 goals plus. So now it's Atalanta 5, Frosinone 0. Couple goal descriptions.
Let's go.
Atalanta coming off a 1-1 away draw to Roma and a 2-1 away win against Milan in the Coppa to progress to the semi-finals. Frosinone coming off a 3-2 home loss to Monza and a midweek 4-0 loss to Juve to crash out of the Coppa. The previous encounter, however, was a Frosinone victory, 2-1 against Atalanta. Now, Frosinone are one of the 3 Serie A teams yet to win a game away from home this season. They are alongside Cagliari and Lecce in that regard. It was a 3-4-2-1 for Atalanta with Carnesecchi in goal and the backline of Kolasinac, Jimcity and Scalvini, Ruggeri as the left wing-back and Home as the right wing-back, with a double pivot of De Roon and Ederson. The Ketelare and Cope Miners played just behind Scamacca. A 4-1-4-1 for Frosinone, Turati in goal, Lirola, Okoli, Bonifazi and Luswardi as the defenders, Berinchea as the defensive midfielder with a midfield of Sule, Mazzitelli, Brescianini and Harrui with Khedira up front. I was rather surprised not to see Khedira called up for Morocco in the African Cup of Nations. Even though he didn't have stellar performances for them in the past, I do think that competing in Serie A would be enough to get him a call up.
Apparently not, and to be honest, he hasn't been great. I think he's quite a wasteful striker.
Yeah.
He definitely can improve and has a lot to improve. He's 25 years old and he's no longer a young talent.
But he also, he faces some of the toughest defenders in the league.
That's a good point.
He's got that. And I mean, it's not like they're calling up stars instead of him. Who the hell is
Buffon?
Harit Tissodali, El Kabi, Amine Adli.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't know much about these guys.
They could be good. Who the hell knows?
It is just weird because Khedira has been quite irregular in that squad, and he was even there at the World Cup.
Yeah. So I found it a bit odd, but anyway. Like we said, Atalanta won this game 5-0. Cope Miners scored the opening goal from the penalty spot by sending Turati the wrong way after Luzuardi clumsily brought down Home in the area. In the 12th minute, Ederson got the second goal for Atalanta. After good hold-up play by CDK, Ruggeri's cross exposed a big gap in Frosinone's box, which Ederson took advantage of and scored. It was Bonifazi who ran away from the ball when it was being crossed in, who created that initial gap, and Ederson, with the form he's on, took advantage of that. Just 1 minute later, CDK literally got his sperm. De Roon played the Belgian through, who smashed the ball in off the crossbar and roared to the crowd.
Did you say that CDK got his sperm?
He literally... Watch that goal. And tell me if CDK got his sperm or not.
Yeah, he definitely became a man. Let's just say that. He roared.
Yeah,
and we haven't seen him roar since the video when he said
that one. No. He got his sperm in this game. Frosinone came out attacking in the second half and forced Carnesecchi to pull off some uncomfortable saves. But Atalanta were happy to hold off with a 3-0 lead. However, then in the 83rd minute, when they brought on their substitutes, obviously they all wanted to get on the score sheet. And Pasalic found Zappacosta in the corner of the area, and Zappacosta curled his strike into the far bottom corner very, very well. Bless you. Rolling back the years, there's Zappacosta. That was his trademark before. And in the 90th minute, Home got his first goal for Atalanta, tapping in after the ball fell to him off the crossbar. And I have to say, well-deserved goal by Home.
I like what I've seen this week by Home.
Firstly, he was probably the best player on the pitch against Milan in the Coppa Italia. He had a spectacular performance. He's solid, man. He's very, very solid. His size, his speed, his intelligence, his tackling. His tackling is second to none, man.
Yeah, against Milan, I would say he was the second best player for them. Scoop Miners was incredible.
Yeah.
But he has been so good, bro. And as you mentioned, he's so involved. 191 centimeters tall. He's massive for a wing back, and he's solid defensively. And he showed us as well that he can get forward quite dangerously too, winning a penalty and then scoring. Right
there, you go.
Yeah. Emil Holm, remember the name? Swedish, 23 years old, giant.
If you've heard his name before, it's probably because he was with Spezia last season. So yeah, that's where you know him from. I want to highlight who the fuck do you think you're talking to? I want to highlight Ederson. I forget that Ederson is so young. I mean, just 24 years of age. I know that's not spectacularly young, but for the way that he plays, he's very mature. Like, he gets forward and gets goals, but he never abandons his defensive duties, and he's quite a rock in that midfield.
He wasn't always like this. We saw him at Salernitana, and he was more of an offensive kind of player.
Yeah.
Obviously, Gasperini did Gasperini things, and he molded him into the ideal player for his system, where now he's just so good defensively, and he's also a menace going forward, right? He has a good eye for goal as well.
Yeah. And I mean, we see that because this isn't the first time he's scored or got an assist this season. I also want to highlight, obviously, CDK, because this was the first match where he was really feeling it, where he looked confident. Before, he would think about a pass, he'd give the pass, and it'd be a good pass. This time he was really like in the moment, and everything he was touching, he was pulling off. Which goes to show, finally, he has found his feet, and he's found confidence in this team. And it's really, really good to see, because this setup of Cope Miners and Decay Telare just behind Scamacca was really, really good in this game.
It really was, and the CDK does, he has mentioned that Gasperini plays him in his favourite position, kind of, maybe that's a bit of a hint at Pioli for not playing him in his favourite position. He's mentally, I'm not even sure if it's fair to call him mentally fragile, or if he's just 22.
He's new.
He's new to the league, he's in a foreign country, he's 22 years old, young guy, he arrived at 21. He's really developing nicely. I just wonder how streaky he can be throughout his whole career. Like, is this just a matter of building up your confidence for your career? You know what I mean? Or is it that kind of a thing that you're gonna gain your confidence, then it's not gonna go, and you're gonna lose it, and you're gonna have 3 terrible months, then you're gonna get going again? Then is he gonna become Felipe Anderson? Is my question.
It could, I doubt it. It could be the case of, we don't know. We've only got a year and a half as a case study of what he's truly capable of, at least in Italy. But what we're seeing is, like you said, 21-year-old kid being signed for the Serie A champions for 40 million euros, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, something like that. High 30s for sure.
Went into the Milan team where he got a few opportunities, but typically coming off the bench, and he didn't find his feet yet. You see great players moving to a different country and not finding their feet in the first season, and then finding their feet 2 seasons in, or a season and a half in. Now, Milan loaned him out immediately, and it's not like he was... You could tell when he played for Milan that he was a good player. Because he's clean. He's clean.
He's got that,
he doesn't have many
bit of
errors in him. He doesn't have many errors in him. It's just he leaves a lot to be desired on the ball. And in fact, he's deserved a couple goals for Milan. He's deserved some assists for Milan.
And he had the goal wrongfully called off. I wonder how that would have helped him with his confidence.
Yeah. When I watched him live, when he came on, I enjoyed watching him. He's technically gifted.
Yes,
he's technically gifted. Now, in his second season in Italy, you're saying, look at his numbers. Look at his numbers. You just need some time to adapt. You need some time to adapt as anyone who's getting used to the league, especially the Italian league. But for someone that before that was playing in the Belgian league for Club Brugge, he needs some more time. And this was a good move for him, man. And he's Atalanta likes to rotate, but Charles is a starter for them.
The problem is that they've got an option.
Yeah.
So, I'm not even sure if Atalanta would exercise the option themselves for 20-something million. I think they might be thinking we could reinvest our money somewhere else and strengthen for sure. Because it's still a mystery with De Ketelaere, man. We've seen him at his lowest and it wasn't pretty at all. We've seen him at his best and he looks fucking solid, Is it worth the risk for Atalanta? I don't think that's the way they operate. I'm not sure. I think they saw an option over here to bring him in on loan. Low risk.
No risk.
No risk at all, and potentially a reward, I think it'll very much depend on how he keeps going till the end of the season. If he remains consistent, I say they'll buy him. If he remains to be a bit streaky, doesn't get the numbers up a little bit, I think Atalanta wouldn't hesitate to just send him back to Milan. Atalanta love to shaft Milan.
Yeah, and I don't even think that's the way that Atalanta as a club would look at it. Because the way Atalanta look at things is how can we flip players.
Yeah.
So it's not about what is he bringing to the team, but if we bring him in for 20 million, how much can we sell him for? Are we going to sell him for 40 million? Are we going to make a 20 mil markup on him? Are we going to be capable of making a 10 mil markup on him? So that's the way the owners are going to be looking at it. I think Gasperini would be happy to utilize him. He'd be happy to keep him.
Clearly.
Obviously, I don't know what budget they have. I know through the investors and new owners, Atalanta's budget isn't disastrous, so they probably can afford to do it.
They're a healthy club.
Yeah, they're a healthy club. It's because they're great at business, eh? But that's just some praise for CDK and a big question mark on what's gonna happen to him at the end of the season. It would be exciting to get him back at Milan since he's found his feet, though. It would be cool to see. Home, we have Adrest winning the penalty, dominating against Milan, getting his first goal. Gasperini had a little dance at the end of the game. He hadn't danced since we were fucking killing him in San Siro, yelling at him after Milan beat them 2-0, going, "Palla, mister!" I feel like he hadn't danced after that. He was embarrassed by the Fennec brothers.
Directly at you, bro.
Yeah.
He looked directly at you. He definitely heard that.
I was telling you, I'm gonna tell him to dance. If Milan beat him, I'm gonna mock him, and I did because Gasperini's a very annoying character.
For those of you who don't know, he danced after Atalanta beat Milan 5-0.
Yeah, wasn't dancing anymore. Now it's like every time they beat someone 5-0, he dances. Enjoy winning 5-0 against Frosinone. No, good win for them. Frosinone, terrible losing streak. They haven't won in Serie A since November. Gathering 1 point in 7 matches. Their away form is among the worst in the league. They have 0 experience in their team, and they by far have the worst defense in the league. They are incredibly leaky, they are incredibly clumsy. All they know how to do is move the ball forward and to attack in numbers. But they're constantly caught off. To me, this is a side that, they excited us in the beginning, but they're getting relegated. They're getting relegated.
They seem to have been figured out. They've been free falling for a while now. They're on 19 points. Like Verona and 18th are on 17 points. They're there, man. And if you look at the history on teams that have been relegated, these newly promoted sides that focus on loaning in young talent without having the experienced players to kind of guide them, these are teams that fall. I always mention it. People who listen regularly will be sick of me. Venezia, man.
Yeah.
Venezia, when they came up, young talent, very exciting, looked good at times, but they just didn't have that experience and that fucking knowledge on how to close out a game. That street wisdom, they didn't have that.
No.
And then they fell back down, and I feel like that might happen with Frosinone. If I had to bet money on who would definitely be relegated, I think it would be Frosinone, man.
I think they should look at bringing in another coach if they want to solidify themselves defensively, because if they bring in 1-2 good fucking players with experience in Serie A and they fix themselves defensively and they keep that, because they've got talented players to get them goals. If they strike that balance, they'll have no problems. But if they keep going the way that they're going now, then they're easy candidates for relegation. But yeah, that's enough from my end regarding this match. Atalanta are in 5th on 33 points, whilst Frosinone are in 15th on 19 points, just 2 ahead of 18th placed Verona.
Napoli 2, Salernitana 1. A southern derby, bro. And a tight affair.
I believe they called it Derby di Campania.
Derby di Campania, there we go, because of the region.
Yes.
The previous encounter was a 2-0 victory for Napoli. This was under Rudi Garcia. Elmas scored. He's currently at Leipzig. And Raspadori had scored that game as well. This time it was Pierluigi Gollini starting in goal in Napoli's 4-3-3 formation with Di Lorenzo Rahmani, Juan Jesus and Mario Rui at the back. Caiustello, Botka and Gaetano were in the midfield with Politano out on the right, Kvaratskhelia on the left and Giovanni Simeone getting the nod up front. For Salernitana it was Ochoa at the back in their 3-4-3 formation with Fazio, Lovato and Gyomber at the back, Sambia and Brotheridge out on the flanks with Legowski and Martegiani in the middle, Kandrev out on the left wing, Chauna on the right wing, and Simeon Wankwo up front. Now, the early game was a bit predictable, with Napoli trying to create opportunities through slow and predictable possessional play. Salernitana defended attentively and looked for counterattacks the way they've been playing, to be honest, since Inzaghi took over.
Yeah.
The match was low-key for about half an hour, and Kandreva eventually ignited the derby with an incredible curling right-footed shot that found the back of the net, leaving Gollini with some questions. Do you think Gollini could have done better there?
No.
No, right? It was fucking crazy. What a goal. The pull-back, the curl, incredible goal.
No
goal
chance.
Week, baby.
Yeah.
Yes, the Maradona fell into silence. It was beautiful. Yes, Napoli struggled to find their rhythm. The only opportunity that they had was Simeone, who had a good opportunity, but it was saved by Ochoa. A VAR replay eventually showed that Fazio had clattered Simeone, and Politano stepped up to take the penalty and scored. This was at the end of the first half, and they went into the second half draw 1-1. Now, in the second half, it was the same thing for Napoli. Predictable play, they dominated possession, but they couldn't really do anything. There was no creativity. They couldn't penetrate that Salernitana block. Simi kept pressing the back line, leaving them no time to do anything, and the defense stayed tight. It was only in the 95th minute that Rahmani managed to turn in a goal, eventually from a free kick. There seemed to have been a foul. It was the Demme on Chauna. Yes, Demme swung his arm and hit Chauna on the face. It looked to be quite a clear foul, definitely warranted a VAR.
Yeah,
a VAR
definitely.
review. Of course, Salernitana players protest, but it did not go to VAR as Rahmani was shirtless, running towards the Maradona faithful, ignoring all the calls.
Yeah.
Kvaratskhelia was, to be honest, vintage Kvara this game. It has to be said. He was lively. He caused many problems. He dribbled his men. He found himself in one-on-one situations. At one point, Ochoa saved a shot with his foot. He just extended his leg and saved it brilliantly one-on-one. I didn't like Napoli this game. I think that it was the best case scenario for them, a last-minute winner, to give them motivation and to give them to fire them up a little bit, to charge them for the next game. But once again, they looked clueless, man.
Look, the outcome is what they needed. This, to me, is the best case scenario for Napoli in this game, is struggling and then getting that goal in the 95th minute to really hype them up and instill this kind of passion and togetherness in them, because this now will create momentum, hopefully, for Napoli, but they look, Napoli look flat. Napoli, they don't look creative. You liked Kvara because he had an opportunity, because every time they got the ball, they just look for Kvara because he's the magician. He can make something happen. Who else? Gaetano, Cajuste.
He just seems to be the only one trying, man, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's like everyone else is so shot on confidence, and it's like this guy doesn't let it affect him. You know, he's constantly trying to beat his man.
Yeah, he's special, man.
Did we even talk about what happened between Kvara and Osimhen's... No, between Kvara's agent and Osimhen?
Oh, no.
I don't even think we spoke about that.
The angry tweet, by Osimhen.
Yes, in an interview, basically,
we did post about it.
We posted, yes, for sure.
At Serie A Spotlight, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook,
Follow,
TikTok.
Rate 5-star. Basically, Kvaratskhelia agent said that Osimhen is destined to move to Saudi, and that Kvara would never do that because his ambitions are higher. To which Osimhen basically called him out on social media and called him a dumb fuck.
And that's the actual quote. He called him a dumb fuck.
I have the full one here. Dear Mamuka Ugeli, you are a piece of filth and a disgrace. I'm embarrassed at your sense of reasoning, dumb fuck. Keep my name out of your mouth.
I mean, I would perhaps take an element of offense to what he said, because he's going after Kvara's teammates, saying that guy will end up in Saudi because he's not as ambitious as my boy. He's just money hungry kind of thing. So I understand. However, Osimhen, there's such a thing as being the bigger man. You know what I mean? Just like proving him wrong. Tweeting and going on Instagram stories and calling him a dumb fuck. It's just, we've seen this emotional kind of outburst from him before, no?
The thing, for sure. And the thing is that most social media accounts are so vanilla. They're like run by the club. It's like, another 3 points. Couldn't get it over the line, but proud of this group. You know, just all those tweets and posts constantly. But with Osimhen, it's just fucking memes that I don't understand, to be honest with you. And this raw content, you know, which I love.
It's a great content.
So unfiltered.
He's my favorite influencer, Osimhen.
Same, keeping up with Victor. Yes, Inzaghi was very pissed off at the end of the game, saying that Salernitana need to be protected, and that Gatti had a foul as well that wasn't even televised against Salernitana, and that now it was the case with Demme.
It's true, actually.
Yes,
of
man.
Of Gatti.
Yeah, they need to maybe protect these teams a little bit more, because, you know, Salernitana deserved to get something out of these past few games, and they've lost them all so terribly. I just hope that I hope they're not demoralized by it, because they've shown nothing but impressive games.
I hope they don't let it affect them too much. Obviously, it affects them in the most severe way possible, which is where they stand in the table, which is still dead last.
Yes.
However, bro, their performances, they should be really proud of what they're doing, and Pippo has done a good job at turning Salernitana's season into a slightly better one, because they're getting close against these big teams, man. They got a good result against Milan. They got close against Juve. Now they got close against Napoli. And sure, it could be demotivating that you're always falling short. But now remember, they'll have easier fixtures. And in these easier fixtures, I do believe that Salernitana are better than Empoli. I believe they could beat Verona, especially Verona letting go of absolutely everyone. They could beat Frosinone. Hell, they could beat Lecce and Sassuolo.
They're a tough team, and now with their sporting director back, I think they will do wonders in the market as well to solidify their team. Yes, bro. I was surprised at the way Cajuste approached the game. He should have been booked way before he actually got booked. He was booked in the 34th. But he was very rough, man. And he's one game away from suspension. He got the yellow. He's missing the next game. Kvaratskhelia, 1 yellow card away from suspension. In the 99th minute with the game 1, managed to get wound up and got the stupidest yellow card, and once again he's missing the next game. So next Napoli game we bet against them, bro, because they're missing very important players.
Away to Lazio.
There we go. Bet on Lazio. Before we move on to the next one, bro, I want to highlight what Patrick Kendrick said, the commentator. hilarious, caught me off guard. Like, I love this commentator because of how monotone he is and how matter of fact he is about everything. He was like, so Di Lorenzo missed a header. And he was like, Di Lorenzo was hailed to be the Italian Cafu last year. This year he's looking more like the Brazilian we saw at Inter a couple of years back, Jonathan. Brilliant.
Man, he's firstly really good commentator. The guy knows his shit, and sometimes he just hits you with this humorous touch. He's got a good sense of humor, man.
He does. He really does, man.
I'd love to get him on.
He would be a great guest.
If you're listening, brother,
brother,
hit us up.
Brother Patty.
My man Pat.
As regarding per the standings, so Napoli are currently in 8th, while Salernitana are in 20th. Of course, Salernitana with 12 points, while Napoli have 31 points.
Cagliari 2, Bologna 1. Bologna slip up once again. However, another good result for Cagliari over here, really staying out of that bottom 3 relegation zone. They were coming off a 1-1 away draw to Lecce, whilst Bologna were coming off a 1-1 home draw to Genoa and a midweek loss on penalties to Fiorentina in the Coppa Italia quarter-finals. The previous encounter was a 2-1 victory the other way around, where Bologna beat Cagliari 2-1. Now, this victory means that Cagliari have now won their last 5 home Serie A encounters against Bologna, which is absolutely crazy. This is the longest ongoing streak of home wins for the Sardinians against any side in the division. I really wouldn't have thought that Cagliari would have gotten the better of Bologna in their past 5 home fixtures. A 4-3-2-1 formation for Ranieri's men, with Scuffè in goal and the backline of Augello, Dossena, Vietesca and Zappa, a midfield trio of Makumbu, Prati and Sulemana, and Nandes and Viola playing behind Petagna, Nandes really being pushed up in this game. A 4-2-3-1 for Bologna, Skorupski in goal, a backline of Posch, Lukumi, Califiori and Christiansen, a double pivot of Freuler and Abischer, with Ferguson just ahead of them, Orsolini out on the right, Urbanski out on the left, and Van Hooijdonk up front, naturally because Xerxes was suspended for this game. Now, in the 10th minute, Viola attempted a looping strike from 40 yards out, which landed on the roof of the net.
I love him.
I love him so much. In the 23rd minute, Orsolini collected Posch's long ball on the byline inside the area and lifted the ball into the near corner from a tight angle. Augello protested as there was a coming together, but the referee said nothing doing. Great goal by Orsolini, he's back on the score sheet for them. Just moments later though, in the 31st minute, Dossena unleashed Petagna with a long through ball from the back, and the striker rounded the keeper and finished into an empty net. He totally outmuscled Calafiori, who stood no chance after Petagna's turn of pace.
Never in my life would have I expected to see a Petagna goal of this nature.
Firstly, he completely outmuscled Calafiori, who almost lost balance. But then his turn of pace to get there before the keeper.
Yeah. And then round him and fucking finish off. It looked like R9 there.
Come on, literally.
Brazilian Ronaldo.
As in, like, let's relax. But sure, he looked fast. If you thought Calafiori could have done better over there in the 68th minute, after a high clearance from a corner, Vietesca did extremely well to control the ball when surrounded by 2 players, and he delivered a dangerous low cross which did end up in the back of the net after bouncing off of Calafiori, and obviously it did go down as an own goal. 2-1 victory for Cagliari. Obviously, I do feel that Bologna felt the absence of the suspended Xerxes, and key players like Salemakers and Ndoye, Dan Ndoye, who were out due to injuries. However, Cagliari did well. That was the hand that they were dealt, and Cagliari did well to capitalize on these vulnerabilities, especially like in their set plays. Whenever they got a set piece scenario, they were very dangerous from them, Cagliari. So they really did rise to the occasion and make the best of it.
Absolutely, and Cagliari have quite a deep team. Funnily enough, they've got options. So Ranieri, known as the Tinker Man from his time in the UK when he won it with Leicester, he loves to play around with his systems. So it's a good thing that he has so many different types of players in his squad that he can actually tweak things up. And if he wants to play the Christmas tree formation, he can play it. If he wants to go for a 4-4-2, he goes for it. 3 at the back, he goes for it. He's really got these guys playing well. But with Bologna, bro, it's what we said when Bologna entered the top 4. we have to see how they cope without Zirkzee. We have to see how good their squad is and how good their depth is. In reality, their starting 11 is great, but then the players on the bench are not as good in certain positions. So, for example, Sidney Van Hooydonk might be an exciting player, but he's no Zirkzee. He's not going to give you that dynamic at all. Urbanski is only 19 years old, Polish. He's not really gonna do what Salamakers or Ndoye or Solini have done.
Exactly. No, totally. I mean, this was, I would say, a decimated squad, but they had a few players there which weren't ideal at all. Like Van Hooydonk and Urbanski are the ones that stand out to me, but it was how they struggled to unlock Cagliari. That always impresses me about Cagliari. They are a very, very tough team to penetrate, especially when they switch up to that 5-3-2 formation. God help you. God help you. But they also impress me moving forward. I feel like Petagna is a good man for the job over there. We always praise a striker who's good with his back towards goal, and behind him he had Nandes and Viola, who are very capable of working their way from outside the area.
And shout out Matteo Prati, who's 20 years old and Italian, has been playing centre mid for Cagliari, playing most games, and he's been pretty solid as well.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so Bologna are in 7th place now. They've fallen off quite a bit, but they are still just 2 points behind 4th spot Fiorentina, whilst Cagliari 17th place on 18 points, still just 1 point ahead of Verona. So although they have 2 wins, 2 draws and 2 losses in their last 6 matches, which is better than the teams below them and some of the teams above them. Frosinone have 5 losses and 1 draw, for example. They're still in danger, obviously, as most of the teams are all the way up to teams like, Genoa are on 22 points and they're in 12th. So from Verona, 17 points in 18th place, all the way up to Genoa in 12th on 22 points. The relegation battle starts from 12th. Let's not get it twisted.
Absolutely. Yes. Very good point, bro. Speaking of relegation, we have Verona 2, Empoli 1. The previous encounter saw Hellas Verona beating Empoli 1-0 thanks to a Bonazzoli goal. For this game, it was a 4-2-3-1 formation for Hellas Verona, with Montepo in goal, Cecchua out on the right, Josh Doig on the left, Magnani and Coppola as a centre-back partnership, with Serdar and Duda as a double pivot. Sirlingonge was on the right, potentially for the last time for Verona. Foloruncio was on the left, while Suslov was playing behind Milan. Djuric.
Yeah.
I don't know why I read his name as Djuric. Yeah, Djuric is the cover art, and it was a very foggy game, by the way, so I also implemented the fog in the cover art as well. Lord knows in reality what happened this game, because no one could actually see it.
No, but it was foggy.
Foggy as fuck.
That's it, because initially I thought it was flares. I'm like, what the hell is this fixture like? Like, why is it so fucking
lit,
crazy? Like, but no, it was simply foggy between Verona and Empoli. Like,
Caprile was in goal for Empoli in their 4-3-3 formation, with Cacace out on the left, Berezinski out on the right, Luperto and Valukovic at the back, with Grassi, Malek and Fazzini in the middle. Jazi started out as the right winger, Cambiaghi as the left winger, and Steven Spendi as the striker. Fun fact about Steven Spendi: his father ran onto the pitch and punched an official in a Serie A game.
Oh my god.
His brother plays in Serie A.
He is spending too much time with these criminals, huh?
Yeah. That's brilliant, bro.
Thank you.
So in the 3rd minute, Hellas Verona had a corner, which can only mean one thing: be careful of Djuric. Alright?
Yes.
Everyone on Djuric. Of course, Duda whipped in the ball. Djuric barely left the ground, and just headed it off the crossbar and into the back of the net, giving Hellas Verona the lead in just the 3rd minute. Spendi failed to capitalize on a Montepo error and fast forward to the 64th minute. Ngonge, fucking shaking off earlier sluggishness, decided to spice things up from the right. He cut inside and he unleashed a left-footed strike that took a little deflection and that turned it into an unstoppable force, and it found its way into the back of the net. It almost came out like the ball was shot out from the fog, It's like it was shot out of a cloud. Zurkowski scored the header upon his return from Spezia, by the way, in the 64th minute. But Empoli were so wasteful after that they couldn't find the equalizer. Duda was sent off in the 85th minute for a second yellow, which he got while in possession of the ball, by the way.
How?
He knocked the ball forward, and then while attempting to play it, he took out his man and got a second yellow card. But yeah, the tone of this game is Empoli were very wasteful. That's it. And in fact, this was Andreazzoli's last game in charge for them, as he's been sacked for Davide Nicola, making it their third manager of the season, as they started out the season with Zanetti. Not Inter Zanetti, but the Zanetti that was coaching Venezia.
I mean, that's how Salernitana survived 2 seasons ago. You know what I mean? Well, Davide Nicola was their third manager. Sometimes you do what you have to do, man.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you just need to bring in a guy who's proven.
Yeah.
Right? Roma. Verona are actually getting results despite the fire sale that they have. And I wonder how they'll go about replacing these guys. Because, Faroni has left. Ngonj is on his way out. And that leaves, those are 2 wingers who are very, very useful for them. So we'll see how they manage to cope. But a good result for them over here. Massive 6-pointer clash, and they managed to win it.
Yeah, very important win for them. Although, now Ngonj out probably.
Terracciano as well.
Terracciano
all these
left
wing
as well. They will. We will start seeing the effects of that, because Ngonj is a player that has changed matches for them by himself.
Yeah. Verona are currently in 18th place with 17 points, while Empoli are below them in 19th with 13 points. Look at that gap all of a sudden.
That's what a relegation 6-pointer does, brother. It moves one team to the right direction and you totally fuck over the other team. The last game is Genoa 0, Torino 0. Genoa were coming off a 1-1 away draw to Bologna, whilst Torino were coming off a very impressive 3-0 victory over Napoli. The previous encounter was a 1-0 victory for Torino at home. Genoa have won only one of their last 12 league matches against Torino, 1-0 at the Luigi Ferraris on the 18th of March 2022, thanks to Manolo Portanova's decisive goal. They've drawn 2 and lost 9 of the 11 other matches in this period, including a defeat in the most recent meeting last September. Now, the hosts were unbeaten in 4, including impressive draws with Inter, Juventus and Bologna, but lost Caleb Ekuban, Thorsby and Soldrado Dragosin to Tottenham last week rather. Toro had European ambitions after beating Napoli 3-0, though Radonjic, Soppi and Shures were still out of action. It was a 3-5-2 formation for Genoa, with Martinez in goal, Vasquez, Bani and De Winter at the back, with Martin, Malinowski, Badel, Messias and Sabelli in the midfield, with Retegui and Goodmanson up front. 3-4-1-2 for Torino, with Vania in goal, a backline of Gigi, Bongiorno and Rodriguez, Bellanova, Ricci, Ilic, Lazaro and Vlasic in midfield, with Zapata and Sanabria up front. Now, obviously this game ended goalless, with both Genoa and Torino having their share of good opportunities. However, I do believe that it was Genoa that were the most threatening team, and had it not been for some heroics by Vania, who managed to pull off 6 saves, some of which were really, really good saves, it could have been a different story for this game. But I also want to highlight what I'm tired of. If you want, you can do it, because I'm tired of highlighting this guy.
Sure, brother. Alessandro Bongiorno, bro.
Man.
Now, when it comes to the top stats for defenders, he's in the top 3 for aerials 1. He's 3rd with 51. Only Bremer and Dragusin have more than him. Interceptions, he's number 1 with 42. Second is Bremer with 25. That's the gap. That's the cutoff point.
Madonna.
Tackles, he's first with 24. Second is Bremer, 21. Clearances, he's 3rd. There's Dragusin first, 88, Bremer 80, and Bongiorno 71. By the way, it goes to show what a crazy player Spurs got. I don't know if you saw the video of Richarlison warming up with him, and he's really surprised by his strength. It's quite interesting.
No, not yet.
Balls recovered, he's in the top 2. Successful passes, he's top 4. Goals and assists, he's the best one, 3, alongside Tomori and Dragusin. And when it comes to errors, he's made 0 statistical errors. He is a freak, Alessandro Bongiorno. He's a freak. Super player, 24 years old, 191 centimeters tall, left-footed, centre-back, and playing a 3 at the back, and playing a 2 at the back. super player.
Yeah, and I think he looked tidy not at the back for Italy, for example, on his debut. So obviously take that with a pinch of salt. But he looked good. He looked comfortable. Now he's in Milan, and his agents are talking to Milan. But this is a move for the summer period. So I don't think we should get into it too much. But it would be Milan have got themselves a starter and a future fucking hero for the club in Buongiorno. He really is that talented, and I'd be interested to see if Berlusconi was still in Milan, how quickly he'd snap him up.
Yeah, he'd probably give an arm and a leg for him.
Yeah.
No tattoos, Italian, you know.
Exactly.
I don't think he has tattoos.
He fits the profile. I don't know.
So sure Torino have just spanked Napoli 3-0, and then they came against Genoa away from home, and they didn't even take a shot on target.
Yeah. It was a quiet
Torino.
day for Martinez. A very quiet day for Martinez.
He's playing with the grass, you know.
Yeah. Like you used to do at football training with Mosta.
But it was gravel.
Yeah. Genoa are in 12th place on 22 points, whilst Torino are in 10th place on 28 points. That is it for this episode, guys. Don't forget to enter our giveaway. It is the last chance. We will be revealing the winner tomorrow, and keep your eyes peeled because we will be posting the Joseph Minala interview on Monday, right, bro?
Absolutely.
On Monday.
Yes, the 22nd.
Yes. Thank you very much for listening, guys. We'll see you next week. Love you all.